Hello and welcome. I am Yashika Foster, the artist of dating. I help successful entrepreneur women help to overcome some of the obstacles that they endure while they're out here trying to start businesses and run successful multi-figure businesses and date. I help them to find balance in the dating world. And today we are talking about compromising. What are you willing to compromise when dating, right? And so I had this discussion with a family member of mine, and we were talking about compromising versus non-compromising. Now, there's an old adage where I've heard people say growing up that having someone was better than having no one at all. Well, I'm here to tell you that we're going to scratch that. That rule no longer applies, okay? So if you believe that, scratch it. Because sometimes what happens is if you pick someone that is not equally yoked with you, then sometimes you'll find yourself being more unhappy than happy in that relationship. And so you have to come to an idea or to a conclusion or a decision to say to yourself, what in that person am I willing to compromise versus what I'm not willing to compromise? And today we're going to talk about some of those things. So for example, or shall I say number one, for me, I'm a 5'7" woman. Right. I have a big stature, I'm pretty tall. I'm pretty average size in weight and everything. Right. So for me, I always say that I prefer a man that's at least 6 feet tall. The reason being is because most of my heels are about 3 to 4 inches. So once I put them on, I'm anywhere from 5'10" to 5'11". So for me, I want to have a guy that once I put on heels, I'm still taller than him. Right. But let's just say that I meet a nice gentleman that's respectful, that meets all the other things that I like in a guy, and he's not 6 foot. Do I just throw the baby out with the bathwater? Or should I just say that I just throw the whole guy out and say, well, no, I'm not going to date him because he's not tall enough? That's when I have to say to myself, am I willing to compromise on that part? Because sometimes we're not going to get everything we want in one package, right? So you have to decide for yourself, what are you willing to compromise versus not? Now, something that I would not compromise on is because I'm a woman of a certain age, I'm 48. I have lived a life where I have been in a previous employment for 25 years. I've retired from that employment and I'm off to my new endeavors of being an entrepreneur. So for me, I wouldn't want a guy at this stage in my life that's just trying to figure out where he's at in life. So if he's just trying to say, well, you know what? I'm starting a new career, which is fine, because if he's starting a new career, that's different. But if he's trying to find himself and he's not sure about what he wants to do in life, or he doesn't have a steady income, that's not something I'm not willing to compromise on, period. Now, if I was in my 20s and I had a little bit more, let's say, time, right? Not saying that time is guaranteed, but when you're younger, you're willing to take a little bit more chances on certain things, right? But if I was in my 20s, I think that if I met someone who was still trying to get at it and still trying to figure out some things, that would be a little bit different. But a woman of a certain age, if I met someone who did not quite know what they wanted to do with themselves, could not hold a steady job or something like that, that's not something I'm willing to compromise on. Another example that I go with is, for example, when I was married right, I had a husband that used to love to put his clothes on the side of the bed when he would agree to go to bed. So sometimes it would be where he would come home from lunch or he would come home from work, and instead of getting completely undressed, he would just take off his clothes and throw them on the side of the bed. And so I had to come to a decision one day and say, okay, is this something that I'm willing to live with for the rest of my life? Because my thing was, why can't you just put the clothes in the hamper? And his thing was, well, because I may get up and go back out. I may either go back to work or I might go and run an errand. So I'm not going to put the clothes in the dirty clothes basket with the other clothes, because I may very well get back into them. And so I would say, well, what about hanging them on a hook or a hanger or something like that, or laying them on something? And he said no, because they're more accessible. And so I had to ask myself, am I going to be okay with him throwing the clothes on the floor beside the bed? Now, here's the thing. When I thought about it, the clothes never bothered me per se, meaning that they weren't all over the floor. They didn't clutter the room because they were only on his side of the bed. They weren't in the middle of the floor where I would trip over them if I walked. He didn't leave them there for days on end. So it wasn't really a big deal. I think I was just trying to find something to nag about, to be honest, okay? But it was still one of those things where, although it was a small thing, I had to ask myself before we got married, because I knew he wasn't going to change. I had to ask myself, was that something that I was willing to be acceptable of or to compromise on moving forward? And at the whole scheme of things, something as simple as him leaving clothes beside the bed for half of a day, it wasn't even worth the discussion, to be honest with you, right? So I had to learn to pick my battles and figure out, in the big of things, is this really worth it? And then for you yourself, I think that if you are a woman of a certain age and you're out here in the dating world, you have to decide what's going to work for you. And the best way that you can do that is trying to understand or have a clear understanding of where you are in your life and where you're trying to go. Okay? So if you, for example, have children, maybe if you met a guy who didn't have children, maybe that's somebody that you're saying, okay, well, will I be willing to have another child if this person wanted a child, if I'm capable of having children, right? So are you willing to compromise that? Are you willing to compromise, getting pregnant at a older age? Those are things you have to think about. Or the flip side of it, you wanted kids and you were dating a guy that didn't have kids, right? Are you willing to compromise maybe adoption as opposed to you actually going through the process because maybe he doesn't want biological kids? So those type of things are big things. Those type of things are huge decisions. It's not as simple as, leaving clothes on the side of the bed and if I'm going to live with that or not. That's something minute compared to if a person wants children or not. Okay. But you have to decide what's going to work for you. You have to decide where you are in life now and where you see yourself in a year or 5 years or 3 years or 10 years or whatever. All right. And if that person is going to be your forever person, and when you out there dating, what are you looking for in your forever person? Because the compromise has to be something that you can live with. The compromise have to be something that you're not going to bring it back up later on in the relationship. The compromise have to be something that you're not going to hold against that person moving forward. Okay. So for example, let's say that weight is a big thing for some people. And let's just flip the script here. And this isn't to discriminate against any particular gender. But sometimes as we get older, women, because we have children, we tend to carry a little bit more weight, right? I'm one of those women, okay? We tend to carry a little bit more weight. We've had children, whatever, our bodies don't process the same, whatever, okay? So if I meet a guy that meet me as I am, the weight that I am, and I never lose any more weight. Now, granted, I don't gain any more weight, but I don't lose any weight. He may be a person that typically dates someone that's on a thinner side because I'm considered medium. So he may normally date someone that's small or really thin. If he's saying, okay, I'm normally attracted to someone that's skinny, but I like her, although she's different than what I typically date, but I'm liking her. We vibe. I want to date her. He can't later on tell me, well, we're together now, but I need you to lose 15, 20 pounds. Because that's not going to work. You can't expect me to change when before you were okay with it. You accepted me for who I am. Now, granted, if I gained weight, that may be an issue. But the weight that I am now, you met me at. So it need to be continued to be, and you need to continue to be okay with it, right? You can't expect me to change. So those are the type of things I'm talking about when it comes to compromising versus what you're willing to live with for the rest of your life. And if you do accept the compromise in that person, it's not something that you can take it and throw it up in their face later or use it against them. Take them for who they are, because there's certain things you can't change. Like I said earlier in this video, I typically like guys who are 6 foot simply because of my own insecurities, right? I'm a tall woman, so I like men to make me feel shorter or feel smaller or feel petite. Okay. But if I date a guy that's 5'10", he's not gonna grow, right? His growing stages are over. So I have to be okay with that. I can't go down the line after we dated for a while and look at him and say, well, can you wear some shoes that put you at 5'11"? Can you get you some shoes that have a little height to them? No, that's not fair to him. He's perfect the way he is. I'm the one that has the issue. right? I accepted him at being 5'10", and I have to forever accept him for being 5'10", because he's not going to ever grow. All right. So these are things you have to consider when you compromise on things. Now, some things are bigger than others, right? But again, for you and where you are in your life, you have to decide. You have to say, okay, if I'm here and I want to go here, does this person fit my plan? Will this person be okay with where I'm going? Will this person fit my lifestyle? Just things like that. Even when it comes to finances or whatever it is, you feel like you need to make sure that you're looking at the bigger picture or the bigger scope of things. All right. So I hope this video helps you out there. Again, my name is Coach Yashika, or Yashika Foster, the Artist of Dating. And if you want more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so that when I do post a video, you'll be notified. If you would like for me to talk about something particular, go ahead and hit me up. Put a little note down here at the end of the video, or you can send me an email at coachyashika@onemore-step.com or onemorestep@yahoo.com. And I'll be sure to respond or make a video. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh.